This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today's episode of Film Riot is just downright epic. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques going to some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley. So, question, what does the latest Pirates of the Caribbean, the new Spider-Man, and the film Peter Jackson is currently shooting all have in common? Correct, they're all shot with the Red Epic, which is the camera I have right here to show you guys today. This is unfortunately not my camera. I actually have to send it back very soon. It was sent to us on loan from Eric Kessler, who is behind the awesome Kessler Crane gear. And we are lucky enough to be one of his Kessler shooters, so here it is. So again, enormous thank you to Mr. Kessler for letting us play with his ridiculously awesome piece of gear for a few weeks so we could show it to you guys. Now, why would we show it to you all? I thought this was a no-brainer, but I did see a few comments asking why we would show it since it's such an expensive camera. I think one person even said that he would stop watching the show if we started using this camera all the time, which is kind of silly. The point of this show is to try to teach people how to make films. Most of the time we show you how to do it with no budget, but every now and again we're going to be showing you how to do it on a much larger scale. Your goal shouldn't be to make zero budget films forever. Your goal should be to learn and practice with what you have right now so one day you could do things on a much bigger scale. So after this episode you will hopefully know enough about this cinema grade camera that you could just pick it up and go with it if ever the opportunity arose. So now with that said, let's bust this beauty out. I've heard a lot about the Red cameras and how you can't use them to do run and gun shooting or that you need a technician to come along for a Red shoot, etc. That is not true at all, and after this episode you'll be able to pick one up, like I said before, and just start shooting. So up here is the LCD. This thing is awesome and controls the camera through its touchscreen interface, so it makes this camera super easy to set up and get going. If you look on the LCD, you'll see the menu up above. You just touch to change your frames per second, your ISO, shutter, white balance, and what resolution you're shooting at. Right now, I have it set to shoot at 5K with the aspect ratio of 2.4 to 1. If you touch here though, you can change it to a few other options including 4K and 2K. I'm actually shooting my action short film in 5K even though I'm editing and finishing in 2K. The reason for that is that when you switch over to 2K, the image becomes very cropped. So this 21mm lens ends up looking more like an 85mm. So there was just no way that I was going to shoot a fast moving action like that, which is why I chose to shoot in 5K. Now moving on, if you click this little recycle looking sign, we move to the next area of the menu. Over here, the only things I really had to use much was media, which is where I formatted the cards, and settings. Also down here, you'll see there's an indicator showing you where the battery power is at. Full is 15 volts, and the camera will shut itself off at 11 volts, so you have to keep an eye on that. It actually shut off on me mid-take. Here you have how much space is left in your card, and then you have the histogram, then 2 meters. One shows you how much noise you have in your image, and the other one shows where the whites are clipping. And that's the basics of all you need to know about inside the menu of this camera. Now outside the camera you have the power button, which is right here, and it also becomes a record button once the camera is on if you press it quickly. Then there's another record button right here in the front. And here is what the camera records on. These are Red mags and they are awesome. And the process of using these is basically the same concept of using your CS or SD card for your DSLR cameras during production and in post. Now finally in front we have the lens, and right now I have the matte box on, which has an ND filter in it, and these are Carl Zeiss compact prime lenses. The Kessler package comes with a few of them, an 85mm, a 50, a 35, and a 21, and these are just gorgeous, super sharp, and very fast. So that is the camera in a nutshell. There's actually another tutorial on the camera from Tom Guilmette online at this link here. Tom's a great guy and super smart, so check that out, and between his video and mine, you'll be able to pick up a Red Epic and just start shooting. But now I've been getting a lot of questions asking what 48 frames per second would look like as compared to 24 frames per second, since Peter Jackson is currently shooting The Hobbit at 48 frames per second, and since this is the same camera that he is using to shoot the film, I'm going to do some tests on both 24 and 48 to compare the two together, but after this. .tv is the perfect domain name to start your online video site. After all, who needs television when you've got .tv? What that means is that if you're making any kind of video that you want to showcase off on the web, a .tv domain name is what you need. With a .tv website, you control your content and look more professional than just using a YouTube channel. If you want to showcase your work, you can get seen on .tv. So here's what you do. Just go to domain.com and search for the perfect .tv domain for your website. Then use the coupon code FILMRIOT at checkout so you can save an extra 15% of your monies. Then, if you want to host your .tv website, check out domain.com's hosting plans. They're less than $6 a month and have everything you need to build, maintain, and promote your site. So remember, when you're thinking, hey, domain names, think domain.com, because if you have a great idea, it all starts with a great domain, domain.com. You know what I'm saying? Domains, domain.com, and ideas for you. Logo. Okay and okay. So Peter Jackson is shooting The Hobbit at 48 frames per second on the Red Epic. And I'm very curious to see what this is going to look like with their process. I love when new things are tried, and I'm super curious, as a lot of you are, to see what it's going to look like in the end. So with that in mind, I figured we would go ahead and try putting 24 frames per second right next to 48 frames per second to see how different they look. Now, of course, this will look much different from their process and in a theater projected on film, but hey, why not give it a shot? So let's do it. First up, 24 frames per second. Here we are, Stark prancing about in the usual 24 frames per second, and now we flip over to 48 frames per second. Again, some Stark action in good old 24 frames. And again in 48 frames. Ooh, what's this? Another shot in 24 frames? And well, how about one in 48? For the most part, I find it a little hard to tell the difference, but when you really look, you see that there's a lot less motion blur in 48 frame clips than there are in the 24 frame per second clips, which I found a bit uncomfortable to watch. But I did read that Peter Jackson has done a lot of testing and is doing something a little different with it, so I'm very excited to see and get a glimpse of, well, their technique and how theirs looks. But yeah, did I mention that the Red Epic shoots at 300 frames per second? Slow motion. Logo. So that's all for today, my friends, but there is more Red Lovin' coming. On Monday, we're going to be showing my post-workflow for the Red Epic, plus our location scouting for the action short film we've got coming, and it will only get better from there, so I'll see you on Monday for more epic goodness. Ryan out.